Bill, in your essay today for Bloomberg Opinion, you focus on the fiscal. Part of the challenges here in the year forward is not so much a monetary impulse, but a fiscal impulse. How will that change the Fed's work?
Well, the monetary policy is still going to be tricky. How high do you go for how long, and how much slowdown do you tolerate? I think the fiscal is a big risk, so that it's not remarked on by virtually anybody. We're going to end this business cycle at a budget deficit of about 5% of GDP, which is a really horrible place to end the business cycle at. And that's before we actually get all the costs associated with higher interest rates on debt service and the costs associated with Social Security and Medicare as the baby boom generation retires. So I think the fiscal situation in the U.S. has deteriorated very sharply. Up to now, markets have been extremely tolerant about this.
Bill Dudley, I want to go back here, and it is a top 10 risk of media, which is the gloom out there. The world's going to end, and we're going to have the recession to end all recessions. Take us back to your study of recession history and guessing at Berkeley years ago. Can we actually guess a recession in 2023?
Well, a recession is pretty likely just because of what the Fed has to do. The Fed has to drive up the unemployment rate sufficiently to slow down the economy, to generate slack in the labor market, to bring wage inflation down to a level consistent with 2% inflation. But what's different this time, I think, is that if we have a recession, it's going to be a Fed-induced recession. And the Fed can end the recession by subsequently easing monetary policy. I don't think that there's a big risk of a financial instability cataclysm that pushes the economy into a deep recession. I think this is a recession where the Fed's, has the controls. When they need to ease, they can do so. The challenge for them is to not ease too soon, but to ease in a timely way.
Bill Dudley, I've got time left for one question, and I want to bring it over to Dr. Bremer's study at Eurasia Group of our risks and our division. Is Republican or Democrat monetary policy, are they really all that much different?
End of the day, it's really about how you treat the independence of the Fed. Would you actually criticize the Fed through its actions, or do you leave it alone? The Democrats, really starting with Bill Clinton's administration, have been very hands-off on the Fed. Let the Fed do their job. The Republicans, especially under the Trump administration, were much more combative in terms of instructing the Fed what the Fed should do. I think the Democratic approach is better because it keeps markets more calm, allows the Fed to be more effective in translating its actions in terms of the tightening of financial conditions that it needs to have to control the growth rate of the economy. But there is a difference between the two parties in terms of how independent they treat the Fed.